Welcome to the Revo Report. We're inspiring faith with reason and reason with faith. Are you worried that your faith is losing ground in the world that feels more uncertain every single day? Stay until the end because there's a twist coming and a calculation that will reveal what really is the fastest growing religion in the world. Here we are, 1931, 1932, and it's going to keep going. What you're going to see here is a rapid boost. Islam's going to start really picking up here, especially Sunni Islam. And it's going to really start to take off. Now, Islam might seem like the fastest growing religion, but we're going to peel back the layers here and see how Christianity is also holding strong. And we'll talk about exactly why. Make sure to subscribe if you love Jesus and want to help us spread and defend the gospel and the good news. So there you have it, 1963, it's moving along, 1964, it's moving along, and now it's really starting to take off now. Now, some of you might have felt that gnawing anxiety when you hear that Islam's the fastest growing religion in the world, faster than anything else out there. It's like the numbers are screaming at you, right? 1.8 billion Muslims worldwide, projected to hit 2.8 billion by 2050, according to Pew Research. Meanwhile, you're wondering, where's Christianity in all of this? Don't lose sleep over it, thinking that there's this giant gap between your vibrant faith and how the future looks shaky, because we're going to dive into the very details. Now here you can see it's kind of overtaking there, right? Boom, and then it overtakes this. See that, right? Now we have 20 years to go. Now some might think Christianity is barely surviving. Well, I'm going to show you that Christianity is actually not just surviving, it is thriving. But you can see here Hinduism now moving, and then you can see Roman Catholicism pulling back. Okay, there you have it. But what I want to talk about is the underground church, because the underground church is not calculated in here. Now, I am going to actually do this calculation as well. We're going to do that calculation right now. First of all, let's talk about the underground church, because millions of Christians are worshiping in the shadows, house churches, whispered prayers. No census really to count them in here. And Islam's growth looks unstoppable, right? It looks like it's just moving so quickly that nobody else can catch up. But even in places like Iran, estimates suggest over 1 million converts since 1979. This is the underground church. Now, this is a survey that is showing that there is a grassroots movement happening in places where Christianity shouldn't be growing. Now, China's underground church might have a number of 60 to 100 million, dwarfing official stats, according to Open Doors. Today, that number might actually be 200 million. At the end of the day, these aren't just numbers, these are lives. There's a guy in Turkey who left Islam after having a dream of Jesus, and this is happening all over the place. He's one of thousands meeting in basements, risking everything. Why? Because Christianity offers a living hope in Jesus Christ that Islam cannot match. A personal savior, not just a system of rules, but someone who actually cares for you, someone who is living, breathing, experiencing what you experience in life that is here with us now. You know, the single greatest contribution of Christianity is the notion of the individual's worth before a personal God. In Galatians 2:20, it says, I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I now live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. Paul, writing to the believers facing persecution, shows us that Jesus doesn't just rule from afar. He's in you, transforming you. And that's a game changer no statistic can capture, and that a lot of people in the Muslim world are experiencing. What's interesting is that sociology also teaches us this, that underground movements thrive under pressure, growing faster than top-down religions. Islam's numbers may look like they're soaring through births, but Christianity is spreading through hearts, actual conversions. And there's another statistic here that we're not really adding up. And what is that? Well, it's adding a few things together. But first, I want to talk about how birth rates don't tell the whole story. Think about a family of 8 kids, all born Muslim. And that's really Islam's edge. A fertility rate of 2.9 kids per woman versus Christianity's 2.6. When you calculate that, by 2050, Muslims could be 35% of the world's youth. Now, that sounds overwhelming, but there's a twist. Many are walking away. You see, Indonesia, the missionaries report, like organizers in 2021, claim up to 2 million Muslims convert yearly, often undocumented, also underground. And in the West, a 2023 YouGov poll found 15% of UK Muslims under 35 don't practice. They are nominal. They're either converting to Christianity or leaving away and becoming secular. But that's not reflected in the data. Now, why is this shift happening? There's this person named Aisha. She's a college student, and a missionary got to them. A missionary shared Jesus Christ. Apologetic then refuted the Quran, refuted conflicting doctrines in Islam. And the Bible was showed to her. She was able to read the Bible and shared with her the concept of grace, that Jesus took her burdens, and now she's a secret believer. So there's people like this that are not really accounted for in these numbers as well. It was John Lennox that said Christianity offers a rational faith that satisfies both mind, soul, and heart, where others demand blind assent. And this is a lot of what Islam is, a lot of threats, a lot of, if you don't believe, then you'll get kicked out of the home. Others, threats of death. Ephesians 3:17-19 says, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power together with all the Lord's holy people to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God. Paul's prayer here for the church, needing strength in this moment, is revealing a love that's not earned, but it is given. You see, every other religion, you earn that keep. But in Christianity, it is given. It is freely given. And Islam's works-based path can't really compete with that depth. And when we really crunch the numbers, I'm going to show you something here that is wild. Okay, so pay attention. My point number 3 is that Islam's 1.8 billion growing to 2.8 billion by 2050 is not as definitive as it seems. Compare that to Christianity's 2.4 billion right now, projected at 2.9 billion. It seems close, but factor in the underground, add 100 million from China up to 200 million, 10 million to 100 million from Muslim majority conversions, Iran, Indonesia, etc., and countless more in Africa's unreported revivals, let's say 20 to 50 million, and that's 2.53 billion today, conservatively, and let's say Islam's birth pile up, but 20 to 30% of its youth drift per anecdotal trends. Christianity is not shrinking, it's exploding where cameras are not there, where statistics are not there. In Nigeria, there was reported that thousands were baptized in secret last year alone. Now, this was in secret, so these are not going to come up in the statistics, but Jesus is moving. William Lane Craig said this, the resurrection's historical evidence underpin a faith that defies statistical decline. Revelation 7:9 paints this picture. After this, I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. John saw this vision at the end, showing a church too vast to tally, too vast for statistics. Proof that the church is actually thriving now, and you are part of that. And so if you haven't already subscribed, liked, commented, please do, to help this movement go. When you add up not just the different denominations of Christians, but the Roman Catholics, Protestants, Orthodox, and Anglicans, you can see that Christianity is not shrinking. Even though Islam's growth looks unbeatable, Christianity's underground surge, choice-driven conversions, and hidden numbers tell an entirely different story. If we factor all those in, it shows that we are actually keeping up pretty good. That the Church of Jesus Christ isn't fading, it's roaring back. We're seeing this conservative movement even happening right now in the West. Your faith's not losing ground, it's gaining ground, even when it's unseen. Remember what Jesus said? He said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. He's the living Lord, transforming lives now and forever. Draw near to him. He is your strength, your eternity, and he is not shrinking away. Welcome to the Revo Report. We're inspiring faith with reason and reasoning with faith.